questions. Question orale. The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Conservatives, along with others, don't believe the Emergency Act was necessary to clear the protests and blockades. Many experts, including people like Chris Lewis, former commissioner of the OPP, are saying the government had all the tools they needed and the Emergencies Act was an overreach. The Prime Minister reported this morning that Ottawa is clear, the trucks are gone and the borders are open, but he says an emergency remains. Can the Prime Minister tell us what is the criteria for this emergency to be declared over, and on what date will he end these unprecedented and invasive measures?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker. The Emergencies Act is enabling critical measures to end these illegal blockades and prevent further occupations. We've heard from police chiefs, security experts, and municipal and provincial leadership that it has been essential to the response. We've been very clear that these measures will apply only when and where necessary, and again, these tools are to supplement local capacity, not negate or override it. As soon as these measures are no longer required, we will gladly lift them. This is responsible leadership.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Can the Prime Minister tell us exactly what powers the Emergency Act is giving him today that do not already exist? I know he said he needed the Act to force tow trucks to tow trucks away, but as he's already said, the trucks are gone, so we don't need tow trucks any longer. What power is needed right now, today, under the Emergency Act that doesn't already exist under current Canadian law?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
After weeks of people being harassed in their neighbourhoods and seeing small businesses forced to close, after billions of dollars were stalled in trade, putting people's livelihoods at risk, after evidence of increased ideologically motivated violent extremism activity across the country, and after a flood of misinformation and disinformation washed over Canada, including from foreign sources, it became clear that local and provincial authorities needed more tools to restore order and keep people safe. I ask all members of Parliament to stand up for Canada this evening.
The Honourable Leader of the Official Opposition.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister talked earlier today about mending fences. He called on Canadians to call their unvaccinated cousin and for Canadians to aim for more decency in our public discourse. I would like to ask the Prime Minister if he would be willing to lead by example and apologize to Canadians that he called racist and misogynist and with unacceptable views because he disagreed with them. I think it would go a long way, Mr. Speaker. Would the Prime Minister rise today and would he lead the way?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Speaker, the right of Canadians to express their opinions, the right of Canadians to protest peacefully, to disagree with their governments is something we will always stand up to protect and uphold, even with the implementation of the Emergencies Act. The Charter of Rights and Freedoms continues to apply. And quite frankly, Mr. Speaker, continuing to demonstrate the way Canadians are being there for each other, not harming their neighbours, not occupying cities, but being there for frontline workers, being there to support each other. That has been the story of this blockade and this pandemic.
The Honourable Member for Mégantic-L'Érable. Mr. Speaker, the member for Beaches confirmed this morning in this House that I'm not convinced that the Emergencies Act should be implemented after today. I will vote for it, but now because it's a confidence vote. Is it true that you've called for a confidence vote? Will you start an election with this if they don't vote for it? The Right Honourable Prime Minister, the Emergencies Act allows us to take essential measures to end the illegal blockades and to prevent the occupation from starting again. Security experts, police forces and officials have told us that this act is essential. They've clearly said that these measures will only be applied as necessary. These are tools that are in addition to local capacity, and we will cancel these measures as soon as necessary. Thank you.
The
Honourable Member from Mégantic-L'Érable. Many, many words, Mr. Speaker. I've listened to the Prime Minister carefully, but it's not enough to tell Canadians to talk to each other. The Prime Minister himself has to set the example. When he listened to Canadians who do not think like him, did he take time to call the member for Poilievre in terms of voting for these emergency measures? Will he call each of the citizens that he insulted over the past weeks? It's time for the Prime Minister to walk the talk. The Right Honourable Prime Minister, since the beginning of this pandemic, this government, like almost all Canadians, have been there for each other. We supported each other during difficult times. We were there for small companies and for seniors and for our frontline workers. And this will be the history of our pandemic. It won't be the history of people who are blocking streets and preventing people, other Canadians, from doing their jobs and for living in peace. It'll be the history of people who are there for each other. And it is these people that we will continue to work with for the future. The Honourable Member for